The Knights Templar were simultaneously a monastic order and a chivalric knightly order. Its job was to protect Christian pilgrims on their way to visit the Holy Land. One of the more interesting things about the Knights Templar was the fact that they enjoyed a lifespan roughly double that of people, you know, in the surrounding population. Now, if you adjust for childhood mortality, it's actually not quite that crazy how much longer they lived because we do have better childhood mortality. But what it does show is that obedience to the Catholic rules of fasting and imposed lacto-ovo vegetarianism and pescatarianism, which is prominent in the Catholic monastic orders and amongst, at the time it was common amongst all Catholics. Now a lot of Catholics don't observe the Lenten fasts or the other fasts. I forget the exact days of the week, but I remember, I think it's Saturday, Tuesday, and Wednesday or something, or Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday or something like that, that Catholics, at least in medieval times and during the Renaissance, were not allowed to eat meat. By that they mean mammalian meat, but they were allowed to eat, or what do you call that? Land animal meat. But they were allowed to eat the flesh of fish and different cheeses, milk products, and things of that nature. So this was a common practice amongst all Catholics, but particularly common amongst the monastics, the monks. And the Knights Templar were indeed monks as well as knights. The closest, I see the group closest to them are the Hwarang Knights, which were, it means flowering boyhood knights or flowering youth knights from the Korean kingdom of Silla. They are the closest, I think, to what the Knights Templar were, followed by the samurai. Now, if you want to gain the longevity powers or to benefit from the same longevity powers of the Knights Templar, you need to embrace sort of muscular Christianity, okay? I did a video previously about muscular Christianity, but this was muscular Christianity before muscular Christianity existed. Muscular Christianity was popular in the 1800s and was the birth of the YMCA. It was popular in the Anglosphere, particularly in Great Britain and the United States. It originated in Great Britain and came to prominence in the United States. But what you will notice is you should obey a Blue Zone style diet, and you should probably embrace pescatarianism, which is a lacto-ovo vegetarian diet with fish. So it's a diet that is rich in legumes, pulses, so dried beans, lentils, whole grains, fish products. It's also rich in, it does have some dairy. Also, you will want to embrace a aggressive and vigorous physical training regime. Unlike other forms of muscular Christianity, though, that would embrace, say, weightlifting or something like that, you probably would want to embrace a martial arts system. So I have links to all this in the description. So I have links to different karate training programs. Now, of course, when you're taking up the practice of martial arts, you should seek to learn martial arts from an instructor, a professional instructor of martial arts at a professional martial arts gym or dojo or dojang or whatever they're calling it. And I think that that would be the best place to learn martial arts. You don't want to just take up the practice of martial arts all by yourself, because it could result in, of course, injury or harm to yourself. Of course, also with diet, keep in mind, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm none of that stuff. So what you have to understand is with diet, you would want to discuss that with a healthcare professional also. If you were to drastically change your diet, you would want to talk to somebody whose job it is, such as a dietitian or nutritionist, or a personal physician or something of that nature, to get a good idea of whether or not the diet that you're beginning to embrace is a healthful diet. I do have links to various lacto-ovo-vegetarian diets and traditional diets such as the Mediterranean diet, the African heritage diet, and of course various diets from the Indian subcontinent. All of these diets seem to match roughly what the Knights Templar would have eaten. Now, not all of the diets are vegetarian or even pescatarian. Like, for example, the Mediterranean diet does have meat, and the African heritage diet does have meat. And the reason for this is because the Knights Templar were not vegetarian. Okay, the Knights Templar did eat meat, just not on the days of fasting, when they were not allowed to eat meat and had to eat seafood in place of meat, and also ate cereal grains such as wheat and rye and things of that nature, as well as a good helping of pulses and dried beans and things of that nature. So that's why not all of the links are to vegan or vegetarian resources. The links that have to do with martial arts are links to karate and kobudo and judo. These are the traditional martial art, and defendu. Defendu is not a traditional martial art, but it was the martial art that was created by William Fairbairn, who is the founder of, defendu, but he was the one that invented modern military combatives, and is the guy that trained the British Rangers, and eventually that system of training found its way into the United States Special Forces, the Marine Corps, and things of that nature. The reason I didn't include something like kendo or one of these wild-ass recreations of knightly hocus pocus from the Middle Ages where, this Renaissance fighting with a broadsword and all that, is because I don't find these to be helpful in any way. Now, that would probably be more similar to how the Knights Templar would have practiced martial arts. It would have been more similar, but I think that the Okinawan martial art of karate and the Okinawan martial art of kobudo and the Japanese martial art of judo are far more beneficial to understand, and of course the British martial art of defendu is far more beneficial for somebody to understand and far more beneficial for the person to practice these days than would be something like one of these medieval forms of combat with a broadsword and a shield and things like that, or a mace and a shield and all this fancy lance stuff and all that. Now, the reason I didn't include Japanese kendo is for the same reason. While this would be more similar to how the Knights Templar would have trained, it is, in my opinion, pretty silly. I could include Iaido. I might include Iaido, which is the way of drawing the blade, and putting it back. But I think that's also kind of silly. I do think that karate, kobudo, and judo are probably going to be your best bets if you want to seek out a traditional martial art, and defendu would be your best bet for a non-traditional martial art military combative. But defendu is essentially karate, and you should keep that in mind. If you're learning karate, you're learning the techniques in defendu, essentially. Now, one of the things that the Knights Templar consumed that is interesting is, of course, they didn't drink too much wine because, Catholicism, you're not encouraged to drink heavily. But also, they would drink wine that was cut almost entirely with aloe vera juice. Now, aloe vera juice provides a lot of phytonutrients, a lot of polysaccharides, and is very healing to the guts, and also, of course, healing to burns and things of that nature. And it has many medicinal benefits and can be purchased fairly cheaply from things like Amazon and Walmart and other places like that. And if you want to consume that, you probably should, of course, again, talk to a doctor. I believe that if people have a latex allergy, they're supposed to avoid aloe vera, but again, check with a doctor or a nutritionist or a dietitian to make certain that you're, consuming aloe vera would be health promoting for you. That's really all for this. Oh, no, it's not. The other aspect, okay, remember I said that these people, or the Knights Templar, are similar to the samurai and the Huarang. Now, the samurai and the Huarang embraced something called Cha'an Buddhism, or more popularly known as Zen Buddhism. And this form of Buddhism takes into account a lot of meditation, or zazen, just sitting. The Knights Templar would have embraced a sort of a reflective prayer, okay? And that's important too, because this is known to impart health benefits also. So there will be links on both zazen and Zen meditation, as well as reflective prayer. And that's all for this video.